We humbly come before you with praise and grateful hearts for all the bountiful blessings we receive each day. We ask you for your divine guidance and wisdom as we continue to perform our task as legislators. For all the issues that may divide us and for all the uncertainties that come our way, we pray that your Spirit will enlighten us and we find peaceful solutions to all the challenges facing our nation today. In times of trials and difficulties, let us trust in your promise when you said, "My grace."
Amen. Thank you, Senator Ligarda. Secretary.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano, De Lima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Onasan, Ontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Recto, Soto, Mentel.
With 19 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 35th session, Tuesday, October 18, and consider the same as approved.
There is a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal of the 31st session and consider the same as approved. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, we have guests in the gallery. We'd like to welcome the guests of Senator Pacquiao, Alexander Brian Reganit, the Mayor of Maitum, Sarangani, Vic Paul Salarda, the Mayor of Alabel, Sarangani, Attorney Tessa Constantino, Mayor of Malungon, Sarangani, and Evelyn Aligario, Councilor of Malungon, Sarangani. Also the still guests of Senator Pacquiao, Leonor Abelia, Vice President for Promotions of Field Export, and members of the Right to Know Right Now Coalition, led by Ms. Annie Heron. Also would like to welcome the guests of Senator Trillanes, the Philippine Criminologist Association of the Philippines, led by Attorney Ramil Cabao, Mr. Jerry Canyo, Dr. Alicia Segundo, Solomon Segundo, and the Occupational Therapy Association of the Philippines, led by the President Anthony Grecia, Lee Asuncion, Vice President Maril Arcil Gozon, and other members, Mr. President. I'd like to welcome them.
To our guests, welcome to the Philippine Senate.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Secretary.
Bills on first reading. Number 12707, an act amending Section 13 of Republic Act Number 3019, as amended, entitled the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, introduced by Senator Soto III.
Referred to the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
1209, an act amending Section 2 of Republic Act Number 8187, otherwise known as the Paternity Leave Act of 1996, and for other purposes. Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy Binay.
To the Committees on Labor, Employment and Human Resources Development and Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation.
1211, an act establishing the Philippine Space Development and Utilization Policy and creating the Philippine Space Agency, and for other purposes. Senator Bam Aquino IV.
To the Committees on Science and Technology and Finance.
Resolution 206, urging the Senate Committees on Health and Demography and on urban planning, housing, and resettlement to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the key issues affecting the Tacloban permanent resettlement sites, with special attention to the health and sanitation conditions of said resettlement areas, with the end in view of proposing appropriate interventions and remedial actions. Senator Risa Hontiveros.
To the Committees on Health and Demography and Urban Planning, Housing, and Resettlement.
Committee reports. Number 3, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Public Information and Mass Media, Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation, and Finance, on Senate Bill number 1208, with Senators Hunasan II, Pangilinan, Cayetano, Escudero, Trillanes IV, Joseph Ejercito, Grace Paul, Laila de Lima, Ligada Soberi, Sani Angara, Paulo Bam Aquino IV, Joel Villanueva, and Risa Ontiveros as authors thereof, entitled An Act Implementing the People's Right to Information and the Constitutional Policies of Full Public Disclosure and Honesty in the Public Service and for other purposes, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate Bill numbers 24, 54, 72, 82, 94, 149, 159, 248, 306, 315, 534, 708, 1014, and 1172, sponsored by Senator Grace Poe.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 4, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and National Defense and Security on Senate Bill Number 1210 with Senators Onasan II, Lacson, Grace Poe, and Sani Angara as authors thereof, entitled An Act Expanding the Scope and Coverage of Republic Act Number 4200, otherwise known as an act to prohibit and penalize wiretapping and other related violations of the privacy of communication and for other purposes, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate Bill numbers 2148871 and 950. Senator Lacson.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Additional reference of Business Committee reports, report number 5, submitted jointly by the Committees on Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation, Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance on Senate Bill number 812, introduced by Senator Recto, entitled An Act Institutionalizing the Grant of a Teaching Supplies Allowance for Public School Teachers and appropriating funds, therefore, recommending its approval with amendments, Senator Trillanes IV.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 6, submitted jointly by the Committees on Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation, Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, and Finance on Senate Bill Number 452, introduced by Senator Trillanes IV, entitled An Act Regulating the Practice of Criminology Profession in the Philippines and appropriating funds, therefore repealing for the purpose Republic Act 6506, otherwise known as an act creating the Board of Examiners for Criminologists in the Philippines, recommending its approval without amendment, Senator Trillanes IV.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 7, submitted jointly by the Committees on Civil Service, Government Reorganization and Professional Regulation, and Finance on Senate Bill Number 454, introduced by Senator Trillanes IV, entitled An Act Regulating the Registration, Licensure, and Practice of Occupational Therapy, providing funds, therefore, and for other related purposes, recommending its approval without amendment, Senator Trillanes IV.
To the calendar for ordinary business. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Chamber, I move to consider PS Resolution 194.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consideration of Senate Resolution number 194 is in order.
May we ask the Secretary to read only the title of the measure without prejudice to inserting into the records the text of the resolution.
Secretary, please do so.
A resolution congratulating and commending the Honorable Juan Miguel F. Zubiri for being conferred with the Presidential Award from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños Alumni Association.
Mr. President, I move to recognize Senator Sari Angara, the principal author of the resolution, to sponsor the measure.
Senator Angara is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Thank you, Mr. President. Dear distinguished colleagues, allow me to stand in this august chamber to honor today not just a respected colleague, but also a good friend, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, known to most of us as Senator Migs, or just Migs. Throughout his political career, Senator Migs has worn many hats. He once served as Chief of Staff of his father, current Bukidnon Governor Jose R. Zubiri, when the latter was still the representative of the 3rd District of Bukidnon, a post that Senator Miggs himself would hold for 3 consecutive terms starting in 1998. At the House of Representatives, where I had the pleasure of serving alongside him, along with many of our colleagues, people would know him as one of the Spice Boys, young legislators noted not just for their outspoken ways, but also for their looks and boyish demeanor. Then Congressman Mig Zubiri was, of course, a prodigious legislator, principally authoring major laws such as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, the Wildlife Conservation and Protection Act, the National Service Training Program, or NSTP Act, and the AFP Rate Pay Base Increase Act. Upon authoring the Biofuels Act of 2006, some people started calling him Mr. Ethanol. In 2007, he moved up to the Senate, where at 39 years old, he eventually became the youngest Senate Majority Floor Leader since the first Congress in 1946. Under his energetic leadership, the Senate was able to enact over 600 bills. And with his authorship, several important reforms were enacted into law, including, among others, the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, the Home Development Mutual Fund Law of 2009, or the New Pag-ibig Charter, the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos Act of 2009, the Mindanao Development Authority Act of 2010, not to mention the Cooperative Code of 2008, which is why he's considered the new father of Philippine cooperatives and eminently qualified to serve as the current chairman of the Senate Committee on Cooperatives. So President, Senator Miggs is also an astute entrepreneur running successful businesses with ice-making plants, restaurants, and solar power plants all over the country. Perhaps his most important role to date, he would agree, is that of being father to his 3 children, Maria Adriana, Juan Miguel Jr., and Santiago Gabriel, and that of husband to his gracious wife, Audrey. Not too many people, however, know that Senator Miggs was once an isko, or a scholar ng bayan, like many of us here. He graduated from the UP Los Baños in 1990 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Agribusiness Management and earned a Master's in Environment and Natural Resource Management from the UP Open University. If we are not mistaken, Senator Miggs is currently the only UP Los Baños alumni to ever hold a national elective position as high as he does in the Senate today. It is only befitting that earlier this month, during the 98th Loyalty Day and the first Grand UPLB Alumni Reunion, the University of Philippines Los Baños Alumni Association honored him with the Presidential Award for being among the university's most outstanding alumni. His contribution to our body of laws is truly invaluable, given he has worked hard to ensure the benefits of his laws are shared with most, if not all, Filipinos. Hence, Mr. President, we are sponsoring proposed Senate Resolution 194, congratulating and commending our colleague, Senator Miggs, for garnering this new award and for effectively adding another notch on his list of many achievements and earning another good name for himself throughout his already colorful and eventful career as a public servant. Mr. President, allow me then to join everybody, all our colleagues in this august chamber, to congratulate and commend our beloved colleague and friend, Senator Mig Zubiri. Salamat, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
with the permission of the body, I move to adopt PS Resolution 194, subject to style.
Any objections? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 194 is hereby adopted subject to style.
Mr. President, Senator Loren Legarda wishes to take the floor for a matter of public interest.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. President, I simply wanted to inform everyone so that we can inform our constituents, our relatives, our friends, local governments to prepare for Typhoon Lawin, which has intensified into a super typhoon, posing a serious threat to the provinces of Cagayan and Isabela of my seatmate, Senator Binay. The 2 provinces are now under signal number 5, Mr. President, the highest tropical cyclone warning signal. There was a bulletin issued just over an hour ago that from Pag-asa that says that Lawin has a maximum wind of 225 kilometers per hour and gustiness of 315 kilometers per hour. given this very intense and massive strength of Typhoon Lawin, it will bring destructive floods, landslides, possibly a storm surge, maybe a tsunami, and those are two different weather disturbances. And we expect very heavy rains within the 800-kilometer diameter. Lawin is now 300, maybe Senator Angara would be helpful if you would listen. Lawin is now 300 kilometers east of Casiguran, Aurora. No? So this is for Senator Angara, for Senator Binay, and all others because it is moving west-northwest from Casiguran, Aurora. It's 300 kilometers from there. The province of Bulacan will also be affected, and many others. May I also put into the record the complete list of warning signals. Signal number 5, as I mentioned, Cagayan, Isabela. Number 4, in the Cordillera, Kalinga, Apayao, and Abra. And in Region 1, Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur. Again, in Cordillera, Ifugao, Mountain Province. Signal number 3, in La Union, Region 1, Benguet, Cordillera, and Vizcaya, Quirino, and Northern Aurora, which is Casiguran. Signal number 2, Batanes, which was just hit a few months ago, and over 200 billion, I think, was it 2 billion worth of damage? I'm not sure if I have my figures correct. Pangasinan, and the rest of Aurora, I guess different signal numbers are manifested in your province. The northern tip is the most affected. Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Zambales, and Quezon, including Polillo. And signal number 1 in the whole of Central Luzon, and in Calabar Zone, and in Metro Manila as of now. But we know that this is the signal number as of now. We are not certain how it will be tomorrow. So what does it actually mean? I simply wanted to operationalize all the signal numbers. It actually means, Mr. President, that what are the possible impacts of a signal number 3? Storm surge with a wave height of 14 meters in open sea is possible. Because if this was mentioned in Yolanda, if the Pag-asa actually mentioned what time it will hit, and what is a storm surge? At the time, people said, ano ba yung storm surge? Now, it is projected that there will be a 14-meter height storm surge possible in coastal areas because of this. And of course, there will be heavy damage to high-risk structures. There would be clearly disruption of electrical power and communication services. Of course, big trees will be uprooted, and our rice and corn crops will also suffer heavy losses. And so, at this point, Mr. President, may I ask the NDREAM-C not just to text and to email, but to call all DRR officers of all the provinces I have mentioned. The NDREAM-C is the byproduct of the law of Senator Gordon, which was authored in 2010. And every municipality, province, city, and every LGU must have a DRR officer. It's not enough that they know, Mr. President. By now, the DSWD should have pre-positioned goods in Aurora, in Cagayan, in Isabela, in the Cordillera. By now, Mr. President, army trucks should have been pre-positioned so that there are men and women who can help our vulnerable populations. By now, Mr. President, all those living in the coastal areas and in landslide-prone areas should have been forcibly evacuated and moved to higher ground or safer ground, which are not geohazard areas. All of those living in coastal areas should have been moved as well. And so I just rise, Mr. President, so that all of these concepts which we talk about in hearings and in plenary are actually operationalized. I know that I've been speaking here every day, rising. I was asked by a colleague, I think Senator Subiri, and said, "Oh, Tita, are you going to deliver a speech again?" Yes, I deliver this speech as an urgent matter of national concern, Mr. President, and urge our national and local agencies to please prepare evacuate, and pre-position goods, services, and personnel. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, we have 6 committee reports that, with the permission of the body, I move to transfer Senate Bill 1208 under committee report number 3.
Report number 3, reporting out Senate Bill number 1208 is hereby transferred from the calendar for ordinary.
I move to consider Senate Bill 1208 under committee report number.
And the constitutional policies of full public disclosure and honesty in the public service and for other purposes.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, may we ask the Chairman of the Committee on Public Information and Mass Media, Senator Grace Poe, be recognized, and thereafter there will be 3 co-sponsorship speeches from Senator Villanueva, Ejercito, and Angara. Senator Grace Poe, Mr. President.
Senator Grace Poe is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, magandang hapon po. I stand here today to sponsor Senate Bill number 1208, otherwise known as the People's Freedom of Information Act of 2016. The said bill is a consolidation of 14 FOI legislation filed by our eminent colleagues, namely Senator Honasan, Pangilinan, Cayetano, Escudero, Trillanes, Ejercito, Legarda, Zubiri, Angara, Aquino, Villanueva, Hontiveros, De Lima, and by this in order to institutionalize the constitutional right of the people to information on matters of public concern and fulfill the state's mandate to implement a policy of full public disclosure of all matters involving public interest. This is my second time to sponsor this bill and hopefully the last. This proposed law is 24 years or one during our watch and not leave it to the next generation. Mr. President, the Senate had not, however, failed to pass the said bill on third reading. On July 23, the executive branch issued Executive Order Number 2, binding agencies under them to an FOI regime. A legislative FOI strengthens the executive FOI by filling the gaps, by fitting a uniform standard, by closing the loophole imperative. In the quarter of a century during which this measure was in limbo, the scandals that rocked our nation had always involved infidelity in the custody of public funds. However, the collateral casualties of stealing are more heart-wrenching. When billions are lost, millions go hungry. When billions are lost, millions go to school without classrooms. When billions are lost, millions have to endure bad public service. If there's one costly lesson we have learned from our past, it is this: secrecy corrupts, and absolute secrecy corrupts absolutely. There are 5 successful general principles of FOI laws around the world. Please allow me to enumerate. First, to have a broad definition of information and a legal presumption in favor of access to that information. Because openness is fundamental to the democratic life of the country, access to information should be a key feature of our government. This means that there is a blanket coverage for all public information and that all official documents are presumed to be open to the public unless expressly prohibited by law. Our FOI bill provides for proactive disclosure such that certain information must be published or accessible to the public even without the public requesting for such information. Section 8 and 9 of our bill have enumerated information that should be immediately available and uploaded on an agency website, such as the SALN of the President, Vice President, members of the Cabinet, members of Congress, justices of the Supreme Court, among others, shall be disclosed to the public in their official website. You see, Mr. President, our proposed law is not just about transparency and accountability. It is also about creating an enabling environment for meaningful social participation in public affairs. Sa ilalim ng batas, pwede halimbawa kunin ang address ng mga bahay ng isang opisyal sa SALN, pero kalabisan naman humingi pa ng litrato ng mga silid-tulugan o imbentaryo ng mga anik-anik sa loob ng bahay. Second, is the requirement of having limited and strictly construed exceptions, which are enumerated in Section 7 of our bill. We will put do not enter signs, but in delineating no-go zones, we must see to it that they are clearly defined. These non-disclosure areas typically cover matters of national security, operational security, trade secrets, diplomatic security, and presidential privilege. Also included are information that could compromise law enforcement operations or endanger the life of an individual or constitute an unwarranted invasion of an individual's right to privacy. I should stress that even if we advocate for access to information, we believe that the right of an individual to privacy is equally sacred. Hence, under Section 10 of our bill, the state is obligated to fully protect the right of the privacy of individuals and ensure that the disclosure of personal data under the custody of the state shall be done in accordance with the provisions of the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Under our bill, all these exceptions shall be strictly construed, and none of these exceptions shall be used to cover up a crime or unlawful activity. We also have provided that all exceptions shall undergo mandatory review every 3 years for possible reclassification and disclosure. The third trait of a successful FOI law is the creation of the implementing mechanisms that cover all agencies. Thus, unlike the EO or executive order, our FOI bill will cover everyone from the executive, the judiciary, and also the legislative branches, as well as government-owned and controlled corporations, and even certain private individuals that have transactions with the government. Since each agency has a different department or office to which a person may request for information, we have provided under Section 11 that all government agencies shall prepare an FOI manual. The manual will be there to facilitate the effective implementation of the law. Its absence, however, cannot be used as an excuse to deny a request made in accordance with the FOI Act. This means the FOI manual shall in no way add to the exceptions enumerated in our bill or provide for a tedious process in complying with the FOI bill, as our FOI bill already provides for a uniform procedure for the access of information. Hindi po pwede na sa ilalim ng manual nila ay kailangan ng 12 signatories before information is made accessible to an individual. Sana kung artistang pipirma, di okay lang, sabik pang nagre-request para sa autograph. Pero hindi. Dagdag perwisyo ang dagdag signatures sa mga request. Section 12 of our bill provides that the person will have to submit either personally, by mail, or through electronic means a request to the government agency concerned. A person who was unable to make a written request because of illiteracy or disability may make an oral request. Once the request is submitted, the government agency should help the requesting party free of charge and provide the information within 15 days. If the government agency decides to deny the request in whole or in part, it shall also inform the requesting party within 15 calendar days of the grounds for denial and indicate the available remedies for appeal. Again, let me remind our countrymen that 15 days may be long, but certain information is already automatically uploaded in a website which can be easily accessed by our countrymen. Will the requesting party have to pay anything? Yes. A government agency may charge reasonable access and processing fees. The fourth trait of a good FOI law deals with efficiency and timeliness. For the FOI to be effective, citizens must have what experts call actionable data, which is data that is immediately usable to intervene on an urgent concern. Typically, what we see on government websites today are after-the-fact data. Ibig sabihin, imbis na impormasyon na makakapigil sa suntukan, ang datos na nakukuha ay yung tapos na ang boxing. Under our bill, contracts and agreements involving an amount of at least 50 million pesos shall be uploaded online and in full before the signing. Thus, data uploaded should not only pertain to consummated contracts, but also that which will help prevent the consummation of disadvantageous contracts. The fifth trait of a good FOI is the institutionalization of penalties for non-compliance or for violation of the FOI law. This is what we call the fear factor or our whipping stick. Without penalties, kung wala pong parusa, a law will have no teeth and will simply remain lip service to the constitutional provisions upholding the people's right to information. Unlike an EO, our FOI can provide for criminal and not just administrative liabilities. Among the acts penalized are falsely denying or concealing the existence of information that should be disclosed, divulging or releasing information that is altered, tampering or modified, knowingly or wrongfully claiming an exception under the FOI law or the Constitution, which such claim is manifestly devoid of basis, and divulging or releasing information covered as an exception under the law. Our FOI bill also seeks to penalize private individuals who knowingly directed or induced or caused the commission of the foregoing acts. However, to boost compliance of government agencies, we should create a system of incentives for more good are wrought by the carrot than by the stick. Under Section 27 of our bill, we will have provided for a system of incentives and rewards. Meron din pong gantimpala ang mga sumusunod ng maayos. For example, may premyo sa Most FOI Compliant Agency of the Year. 1 milyon na halaga ng bagong equipment. Bakit hindi? The litmus test of an FOI law is how it helps the common people secure with ease, without help, and without hassle, the documents he needs. Kung gustong malaman ng publiko kung bakit kada taon may bagong sasakyan ang isang opisyal ng gobyerno, o bakit lahat ng kinakasama ng barangay captain nila ay may negosyo kahit na wala naman talaga silang hanap buhay para pagkuhanan ng kapital, di dapat may karapatan tayong suriin ang salin ng mga opisyal na ito kung ito ba'y nakalagda ng tama o hindi. Kung gustong malaman ng publiko kung saan napupunta ang donasyon para sa mga nasalanta, dapat may karapatan din tayong suriin ang financial documents ng DSWD o kung anong mga ahensya na namamahala sa mga donasyon. Sa lahat ng binabayad nating tax, nararapat lang na itanong ng ating mga kababayan, ni Juan at ni Maria, kung saan napupunta ang nakaltas sa sahod nila. Magkano ba ang magpagawa ng kalsada? Bakit kada taon parehong kalsada ang laging pinapagawa o binubungkal? Let me stress, though, that access to these documents or information should be in a language easy to comprehend, which is why the Senate's FOI version made mandatory the use of plain language in official communication. What use is information that is easily accessible if it is not easily understood. Mr. President, kung hindi naman maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan ang dokumento na ibinibigay sa kanila, baliwala din po ang impormasyon. Kaya dapat madaling maintindihan kahit walang abogado ang ating mga kababayan. Admittedly, this bill, when implemented, will incur expenses. Freedom of information does not mean that such information will come free. May gastos po sa gobyerno. That is why we provided that the amount necessary to carry out the provisions of this bill shall be charged against the agency's current budget and shall later be included in the annual General Appropriations Act. Be that as it may, I strongly maintain that benefits far outweigh the costs of implementation. Studies show that the FOI spending bears high social returns. Investment on FOI resources and technology are needed and must be mandated. Otherwise, what good is a law if it ends up as an unfunded mandate? Mr. President, the FOI Act is long overdue. Let us not delay its passage anymore, as it has been delayed long enough. I would like to thank those advocates, even here. I think as a junior senator, Senator Villanueva, Senator Zubiri, and all those that I've mentioned, authored this more than a decade ago. I would also like to thank the Right to Know Coalition, who's always been with us to provide us with technical advice as well as feedback regarding this measure. Passing the FOI law is just the beginning. Beyond the law, we need to cultivate a culture of transparency and accountability. Lahat ay dapat makilahok. We need to create an environment where ordinary citizens are fearless enough to ask important questions and have the audacity to demand the truth. We should dare them to ask, dare them to act. Let us empower our people and in doing so, improve our public institutions. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. President, to co-sponsor the measure, may we recognize Senator Joel Villanueva.
Senator Villanueva is recognized to co-sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. Thank you, Mr. President. Ginoong Pangulo, mga minamahal kong kasamahan dito sa Senado, mga taga-taguyod ng FOI noon hanggang ngayon. Maganda at mapagpalang hapon po sa ating lahat. Una ko pong nais batiin ang chairperson ng Committee on Public Information, Senator Grace Po, at 10 ng mga authors nito pong napakahalagang panukalang batas, ang Freedom of Information Act. Isang provision po, Ginoong Pangulo, ng People's Freedom of Information Act o FOI ay ang pagsasalin ng mahahalagang impormasyon sa mga pangunahing wikang Filipino. Kasama po ang mga wikang panrehiyon at mga lingua franca sa format na madaling ma-access ng lahat. Ito po'y nakasaad sa nakaraang linggo, kahit pa, Ginoong Pangulo, halos 15 taon na po ang lumipas mula nang una po akong mag-sponsor ng FOI bill doon sa mababang kapulungan noong 12th Congress. Ngayong kulubos na naiintindihan, Ginoong Pangulo, na lubhang napakahalagang maunawaan ng ating mga kababayan ang ating mga batas gamit ang pangunahing wika nila. Ano nga po ba ang People's Freedom of Information Act o FOI? Nung tutuusin, simple lang po ang batas na ito, ang nakasaad sa Section 5. Subalit, ipinapano hakbang para ma-access ang mga pampublikong dokumentong ito, nakasaad sa Section 12. Bakit nga po ba kailangan ang batas na ito? Sapagkat kailangan po ng reforma at mga mekanismong magsusulong ng partisipasyon ng mga mamamayan malinis at walang tinatago at accountability. Lalo na po at nakalagay ng probisyon para sa administrative at criminal offenses at penalties. Nakasaad po sa Section 21 at 22. Noon, Ginoong Pangulo, marami ang nagsasabi na kung hindi mapagbigyan ang request nila sa gobyerno, nga na lang sila. Umasa sa wala dahil walang inilista lang, parang inilista lamang po ito sa tubig ang kanilang request. Ngayon po, sa panukalang ito, obligasyon ng ahensyang tugunan ang request sa loob ng 15 araw matapos matanggap ang request. At kung magkakaroon man ng extension, hindi po ito dapat lalagpas sa 20 working days. Pinagsumikapan po ng mga tagataguyod ng FOI sa loob at labas ng Kongreso na balansihin ang lehitimong pangangailangan ng gobyernong pangalagaan ang mga kompidensyal na impormasyon at ang karapatan ng bawat Pilipinong makaalam at makahingi ng impormasyon sa lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno. Ginoong Pangulo, para kay Juan at Juana de la Cruz, sa mga ordinaryong Pilipino, magiging armas nila ang FOI upang magkaroon ng akses sa 3 sangay ng pamahalaan: ehukatibo, abol, ang mga tiwaling opisyal hindi lang ng mga investigador, kundi pati na rin ng mga interesadong mamamayan. Pag-aalis po ito ng hirap sa paghahanap ng mga kinakailangang impormasyon mula sa iba't ibang tanggapan sa pamamagitan mga po ay umiiral na ngayon sa website ng official sa mga pangunahing wikang Filipino upang lubos itong maunawaan ng ating mga mamamayan. Kaugnay po nito information manual na maglalaman ng mga detalye at patuturing ding isang manual. Ito po ng Republic Act 9485 o ang Anti-Red Tape Act na alam kong hindi makakalimutan ni Senator Lacson para magabayan ang mamamayan sa kanilang karapatan laban sa red tape. Base sa karanasan sa pagpapatupad ng RA 9485, tiyak na malaking tulong din ang Freedom of Information Manual sa lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno at sa ating mga mamamayan para sa mas epektibong pagpapatupad ng panukalang ito. Mr. President, I believe that the proposed measure will pave the way for a quality and strong FOI law, providing a powerful tool to deter corruption and abuses, improve delivery of public services, attract more investors, create more jobs and opportunities for our people, but only when the education and training sector plays its role in integrating the right to information along with the values of democracy and good governance in our school system. Mr. President, right to information is long overdue. Delay is no longer.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The Freedom of Information Act. This feels like deja vu, Mr. President, since we are here once again and back to square one in pushing for the passage and implementation of the Freedom of Information Act in every sector of government. To show our commitment to the public, the FOI bill was the very first legislative measure I have filed in the 17th Congress, and I'd like to thank our chairperson for prioritizing this particular measure, that this early we will be able to hopefully pass the said measure. The FOI bill, when I was still at the House of Representatives during the 15th, just as it is their obligation to pay the people, that government is devoted and putting more effort to curtail. Therefore, my fervent hope that the passage of Senate Bill number 1208 or the Freedom of Information Act be immediately sought. Thank you very much and good afternoon, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Ejercito.
May we now recognize Senator Sari Angara to co-sponsor the measure, Mr. President.
This is the most sponsored measure.
I assure you it will be the most interpellated.
I'm doing the defending, Mr. President. Anyway, thank you, Majority Leader, Mr. President, is the Information Act. Mahalaga po ang FOI para maibalik ang kumpiyansa at tiwala ng taong bayan sa kanilang gobyerno. Halimbawa, marami po ang nagdadalawang isip tuwing nagbabayad po sila ng buwis. Iniisip nila, imbis na pumunta sa tama ang pera ng kanilang pinaghirapan, ito'y mapupunta lang sa bulsa ng iba. Kaya po siguro marami ang kusang umiiwas sa buwis. Pero kung malaya ang daloy ng impormasyon, malaya ring nasisipat at nasusuri ng tao ang daloy ng kanilang buwis. Mula sa kanilang pitaka, papunta sa kaban ng bayan, patungo sa mga proyekto at serbisyo para sa bayan. At kung nakikita nila ito, mas maenggansa. An open regime of information, Mr. President, is a natural check against corruption in how public money is spent, against abuses in procurement processes, or against excesses of officials in how they fulfill their mandates. The more we prevent such occurrence, mahalaga po ang pagbabalik ng tiwala sa gobyerno dahil ito ang magbibigay daan para maging tunay na partners for change ang bawat Pilipino. Sa aking pananaw, nangyayari o ginagawa ng ating pamahalaan. Paano po tayo magiging ganap na demokrat? Panahon na po para baguhin ang pagtakbo ng ating gobyerno, bawat isa sa ginawa, ginagawa at gagawin ng kanilang gobyerno upang sila'y maging totoong katuwang sa pagbabago at pag-asenso. Ipasa na po natin ang FOI. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is that the last of the
Yes,
co-sponsors?
Mr. President. So to give time to the other senators who would want to study the proposed measure, Mr. President, I move to consider, or I move to suspend the consideration of Senate Bill 1208 under Committee Report Number 3.
Consideration of Senate Bill number 1208 under Committee Report number 3 is suspended. With the permission of the body, can you ask for 1 minute's suspension?
Move to suspend, Mr. President, for a few minutes.
Suspended for 1 minute.